Is something actually you need to think about for a long time. So I said when it comes to talking about your purpose, why your business exists, why you've set it up, you don't have to think about that for very long because it's obvious. When it comes to your values, I would suggest you do something different. What you need to do then is you need to go deep into your business, you need to talk to everybody, and you need to talk to them and say, so why do you work here? What do you like? What don't you like? What should we do more of? What should we do less of? Tell me some stories. Tell me some stories that illustrate the behaviours that are right for our business and wrong for our business. We did this, we've been going for 19 years now, which is why it's not really long term, but it's why I'm, starting to become qualified to talk about building a business for the long term. Because in entrepreneurial terms, people say, bloody hell, 19 years, that's a long time. So about 12 years ago, we were at the stage, we had about 50 people in our business then, and we went round and we spent 6 months talking to everyone in groups, individually, writing things down, what's important. And we came out with what we called then, and we still call now 12 years on, our 5 key behaviours. And if you like, these are the values that underpin our business. I've kind of stuck them up there. I'm not going to read them out because that would be very boring because you can all read. But a few things to kind of pull out of those. So these are, the way these work is we have a behaviour here, the goal focus bit, and you'll see some other ones. Little summary, and then we do some role model stuff, because what we actually do with these key behaviours, we don't just slap them on a wall and that's it. We actually run appraisals on these twice a year. People get paid a bonus on whether they live them. If everybody's saying to us that there's someone in the business not living these behaviours, not living our values, not true to who we are, then we do ask them to leave, because they're actually going to drag us down. I think people sometimes think this sort of stuff is nice and fluffy and nice. It's not. It's not all about fluff and nice. It's actually, you've got to be quite hard-nosed about it and say, if you want to be a certain sort of business, if you want to be a business making delicious food, if there are a small number of people within my business making disgusting food, we can't have them. We can't have them. So there's one of our key behaviours, goal-focused. So we kind of think, and I think it's really important in any business, long-term or even short-term business, you've got to have goals and you've got to see how you do. And I suppose the thing I'd like to highlight here, what's a role model behaviour? This word is important, celebrating success. You've got to find time, if you're busy and everything is moving the whole time and there's problems, you've got to remember to celebrate when things go right. And I think the other thing I'll just pull out here is the fact that you have to recognise, setting up a business, running a business, growing a business, it's a rocky road. It's lots of fun, very rewarding, but not everything always goes your way. And so you've got to recognise there are going to be a few setbacks, and you need to be resilient as an individual, but you need other people in your business to be resilient on your behalf. When I started working in the industry that I'm in food production, I was horrified by how people got treated. So kind of respect is a really important thing for us. And I think kind of if you're looking at the long term for any business, and we see on the news, we hear about businesses who behave unethically, who do things for the short term, I think those businesses, they get found out in the end, and they don't survive. So I think it's really, really important to have, at the core of a long-term business, is to have some transparency and honesty. You saw earlier on, our business is about making food with passion, so you're probably not surprised to see that one of our key values in the business is passion and pride. It's really, really important. I personally wouldn't find it easy to get out of bed in the morning if I was going on and thinking, God, I don't believe in what we're doing, the product we're making, the service we're providing. If you're in a different sector, you need to believe it, and you need actually everyone in your business to believe it as well. Very, very important to me. Involvement. Well, you know, it's easy to turn up, isn't it? It's easy for anybody to turn up to work and think, oh, well, I'm just a passenger. I'm just going to turn up and collect the paycheck at the end of the month or whatever. I don't think, if you've got too many people like that in your business, the businesses maybe you work in today, I don't think you're in a great business. And I don't think it's going to succeed in the long term. You want people to be involved. And I think this last point here is the one I'd like to pull out, is especially at the more senior levels in businesses, you get lots of people who are very ambitious, very focused on their careers, thinking about the next thing, and they sometimes forget that they're working as part of a team and that they need to put the success of the team above their own personal success. So we like to remind people of that, because actually that's how we do a good job. Nobody got anywhere in life by sitting on their hands and doing nothing and not taking a risk. And there's certainly no one who's ever set up a business who hasn't taken a large number of risks. That's what you have to do. So for us, we're a very small business in a very big market. We're operating in a market which is, in the UK alone, has sales of 75 billion. So we're not even a speck of dust on the floor. And if we're going to succeed and be here for the long term and grow our business year on year on year on year on year, then we need to be prepared to change and do things differently. And change, as we all know, is not easy. It's not easy, but I think you need to embrace it. And I suppose what I can hear in the business, again going to this last line here, when you turn up in any forum and you start talking about change, you'll hear a lot of voices around the table starting to list the reasons why you can't do it. And so whenever I start to hear that, and it is often, I've got a great team of people who work with me, but whenever I start to hear that, I just pull out this phrase, I just say, remember what we need to do here. We need to focus on the how can we rather than the why can't we. Because if we focus on the why can't we, you can always find 1,000 reasons for not doing something. What you need to do, though, is to say, let's not be diverted by that. Yes, it will be difficult. Yes, it may not work. But we're going to actually say, how can we? Because that's going to increase our chances of success. So, there's a little bit about values. It's a little bit about values and key behaviours and setting a purpose and having a mission and sharing that and getting out there. You need all these things if you're going to have a business that works. But that's not going to be enough on its own. So you need to get your product or your service right. So I put service, but some of you are probably in the service business rather than the product business. So we are very, very passionate about the food we make, and we spend a very, very, very long time getting our product right. This is a very delicious steak and ale pie. You know, we really go into the details. It comes in a little ceramic pot. We scour the world for where to get those. We've gone and found a supplier in Valencia who does those for us. We've spent lots of time thinking about the design of that. We spend lots of time just thinking about how to get the pastry fantastic. Wouldn't it be nice if it had a kind of crisscross on the top rather than just a plain piece of pastry? Wouldn't it be nice if it had a golden glow to it when it cooks? Wouldn't it be fantastic if the beef inside there is just so wonderfully on tender? Wouldn't it be great if the sauce is delicious? You just have to kind of be obsessive about what you do, because that's how you're going to stand out from the crowd. So what we actually do, we are obsessive about it, but there's no point just being a kind of mad entrepreneur and being obsessive about it and everybody thinks you're a nutter. You actually have to then get it back to reality, and you have to talk to your consumers or your customers. For us, we have customers, shops, and we have consumers. I love our customers, they're very important to us, we need them, but I love our consumers even more, because it's our consumers who buy our food and come back and buy it again. So when we are looking at developing a recipe or changing a recipe, we'll go and talk to consumers. We'll go and talk to consumers, and we'll strip away the fancy packaging, and we'll say, what do you really think? What do you really think? If you take that away, just taste it blind. So for us, we operate at the top end of the market. So we'll go and have a look how we do compared to Marks and Spencer and Waitrose. We'll say, is our food better? And we will only launch a new recipe if it's better than anything else out there. Then we just know, it's simple. Just making the best, because consumers are telling us that. And that actually translates very nicely into sales, which is not a surprise. Always make it better. Always make it better. And I think actually this applies to every aspect of your business. Obviously the core of our business is food, but I don't want just our food to be better. I do want our food to be better, that's the most important thing. This is a lovely lasagna we make. It will spend weeks, months, hours thinking about, is it right to have 4 or 5 layers of lasagna? Which is nicest? Is it right? Is that ragu quite right? Do we want to just cook it for a tiny bit longer? Should we use red wine in it rather than white wine? Yeah, we'll just get really worried about it, but we're just trying to get it better. A lot of our recipes we'll redevelop, we'll kind of go back and we'll redo them about every 6 months. It'll take us 6 months to do it, but we'll do it every 6 months because that's how we get them better. And we'll spend a huge amount of time on it. So make it better, but it's not just your core proposition. I think what you need to do, if you're building a business for the long term, you need to make everything better in your business. So you need to say, well, you know, what are our policies around people like? Have we got the right maternity pay, you know, and benefits structure? Challenge ourselves. How can we make it better? Go and talk to the guys. You know, how good are we at IT? Are we really good at IT? Is our IT efficient? You know, are we buying the right hardware? Is the software right? How can we make that better? I get very obsessive about little things, like light bulbs. It really drives me mad if I walk into my kitchen and there's a light bulb broken. So I think, bloody hell, if there's a business that can't even change a light bulb, what hope have they got about making something difficult, like the best steak and ale pie in the world? Can't even change a light bulb. So I think you need to focus on the little things, and just with a simple mantra, a little bit better every day, every week, every month, every year. All you need to do is make sure the line's going like that. If the line's going like that, it doesn't have to be going like that, it just has to be going up. Because if it's not going up, it's going down, you're getting worse. Oh, this is a really boring sheet. I'm not going to put that up there for long. But, you know, you can have this is a sort of numbers rubbish you have to look at in business. But actually, it's not rubbish. Because you can be very passionate about the food and you can talk to consumers and you can do all this bit. But actually, if you're not looking at the numbers are a consequence of doing everything else right. Okay, they're a consequence of doing everything else right. But you need to be looking at them. And as you probably know, the thing you need to be looking at more than anything else is what's happening to your cash. You know, it's a boring old adage in business, but cash is king, and you need to be looking at your cash flow and make sure, because you can have a fantastically successful business, and it can be a mature business and been going for ages, and you can be absolutely in trouble in a matter of 2 weeks if your cash flow goes wrong. So, you know, make sure you've got someone in your business, or if it's not someone else, that you're putting enough time in to look at the numbers and look at the detail. These are the numbers, that's just the numbers we look at a summary level every week with the top 40 people in the business. We're very transparent, we share that. So, I'm not going to talk for much longer, you'll be relieved to know, but I thought I'd just finish with a few things I think you should do. So I've said a few things you should, and these are the things you maybe you shouldn't do. So I've just talked about looking at the numbers, but I think any business that sets out and says what we're going to do is we're just going to focus on profit and profit alone is doomed. Is doomed. You know, look what happened to RBS. You know, the biggest business in the world, it doesn't matter what it is, look what's happened to Tesco in our sector. It's because they start to look at this and this alone. And you get arrogant and you forget why you're there, and you forget that you're actually a food retailer or a bank with customers. And you lose sight of that. So if you focus too much on profit, if you think profit is the be all and end all, is the starting point, you're wrong. It's a consequence of what you're doing, the other good things you're doing right. Similarly, don't focus on sales. If you focus on sales, what you'll probably do is end up discounting your price. Because you'll say, well, how are we going to get the sales line up? We're going to sell it cheaper. That's not what you want to do. You want to focus on making a better product, getting the message out better to your consumers, and then the sales will take care of themselves. You don't want to try and do too much. I think it's a mistake that almost every business makes, is trying to do too much. I've certainly made that mistake many times. I'll probably make it many times again, because I'm enthusiastic about what I do and I love new ideas and stuff. So about 4 or 5 years ago, we were making 450 different recipes every day. It was a nightmare. It was a nightmare. We got that down now to around 50. And it means what we can do is we can put all of that energy and more into making 50 things really well, rather than 450 things not that well. So don't try and do too much. Again, think of Tesco, going into Blink Box and stuff. Has that been helpful to them? It hasn't. They're trying to get rid of it. And I talked to, and some of these messages here, things not to do, are obviously a little bit contradictory to what I've been saying. I've been saying you need to look at the numbers. I've been saying you've got to be open to change, and here I am saying you mustn't change what you do. And the reason you mustn't change what you do is you need to be consistent, you need to stick at it. If you say, well, our purpose and our mission last week was this, but this week we're changing, you're going to be in trouble. You've got to be resilient, you've got to take the knocks when they come, and if you think you've got a good proposition, you've got a good proposition, then you've got to stick at it and not change the whole time. I think that may have been my last one on that. Oh no, I put on that, don't plan for an exit, but I would say that because I'm talking about a business for the long term. But again, I think lots of people, if an exit happens in a business, yeah, that's fine, that suits some people, opportunities come along, if someone comes along and offers a ridiculous amount of money, more than the business is worth, perhaps the right thing is to say yes. But if you plan for it, if you plan for an exit, that will become the all-consuming thing, and what you'll forget to do is run your business. And you'll soon find yourself in trouble. So those are my things of not to do. And then I think I just finished off on a little quote here. John Ruskin, always reliable for a quote. And I'm going to read it out because it's important to remember this. Any of you who have a business or are thinking of starting a business or work for another business, there's hardly anything in the world that some man could not make a little worse, could not make a little cheaper, and that people consider price only are this man's lawful prey. Follow his advice. That's it. Thank you very much. I kind of, more interesting than listening to me is if you've got any questions, just want to have a chat, I'm here. I don't know how long I've been, but I'm sure I've got plenty of time for a chat if any of you want to chat. Okay? You don't need to clap. Is anyone? I'm going to walk away from it. Yeah. Does this work? Oh, it does. That's very loud, isn't it? I was just asked if I'd email the slides out, but I'm not going to do that, because it's just a little aid memoir for me to rattle through things, and they don't make much sense on their own. And I've got some numbers on there, and they might be useful to some horrible competitor of ours or something. Anybody else want to ask anything? You don't have to. Well, look, guys, thanks very much for coming along. Very nice that some of you were here. And have a nice day.